So let's now add a loading indicator for when we're submitting something to the server. So we'll head back to VS Code, and once again we'll do this inside our app component. And we'll add another piece of state, and this time we'll call it submitting. And we'll add a function called setSubmitting. And we'll set this equal to useState, and we'll give this an initial state of false. And what we'll do is we'll use this setSubmitting function inside our create activity, our edit activity, and our delete activity. And what we'll do before we start our request, we'll say setSubmitting, and we'll set this equal to true. And once the request is completed, then we'll add another len statement, and we'll just say setSubmitted, and we'll set that to false. And we'll just repeat this behavior for each of our methods that make a call to our API. So we'll do the same for the edit of activity, and I'll just copy the len statement here as well and paste it after this one. And I'll just do the same again for the delete activity and copy the len statement and paste this in here. And what we then need to do is pass down the submitting to our activity form and to our list component as well. And once again, our activity dashboard is going to act as a middleman for our submitting flag. So I'm just going to pass this into our activity dashboard, and we're going to need to go through the same motions again and go into our activity dashboard and add this as a prop, and this is just going to be a boolean, and add it to our destructured props, and then we can pass this down to our activity list and also to our activity form. And we'll need to go into both of these and once again do the same thing with our interface. So I'm just going to copy this, go into our activity form, and just add this as a new element to our interface and add it to our destructured props. And just do the same thing for the activity list as well, and just open this up and add submitting as a boolean inside here, and also add it to our destructured props. And what we can do inside our activity form, we can go down to our submit button, and what we can do is just add a loading indicator to our button, and our button takes a loading property, and we could just set this equal to submitting. And we can also do the same thing for our activity list, and for our delete button we can also add a loading indicator and set this to submitting. And let's go take a look to make sure that this is working. So if I click on the future activity 222 now in this case, and click on view and click on edit and just add yet another 2 to this and click submit, we can see that it worked, but it had the consequence of also turning on the loading indicator for our delete button. But let's just make sure, and we'll deal with that very shortly, but let's just make sure we can create an activity, and I'm just going to put in some nonsense here because it doesn't matter, because after this we're going to reset our database anyway, and I'll just add some nonsense data, click submit, and we can see that that worked as well. And we get our activity inside there. And I'm just going to edit this, and I know I said it didn't matter, but just so that the image displays, I'm just going to give this a category that exists, click submit, and we see that we've got our activity there. And if we click on delete, we know this is going to work because we already see our loading indicators, and I'll click on delete, and sure enough we can delete our activity. But the experience is not perfect because of the nature of what we've done here. We've turned on the loading indicator for every single button in our list. And what we're going to take a look at next is we're going to deal with the fact that when we click on this and make a change, we also turn on our delete button. And we're also at the same time going to deal with the fact that we just want to turn on the loading indicator for the individual button that was clicked. And we'll take a look at that next.